ngarang tawgiba ikhoigi qualitative ka quantitative ka do madudagi makha thakadoi ni. Today we have lots of explanation yamna yaure, so we have lots of explanation. Aduna understand the hodragadi sasat hangadabani because today's topic is the heart and soul of this chapter. Nasigi chapter sigi heart and soul ni yamna maruoiba area ni. Ahanbada ekhoina ngarang tawgibado our broadly measures they are broadly classified into qualitative tools, credit control tools next quantitative credit control tools ani phone khaido e and high ni. So high qualitative ka quantitative ka sir masigi makhada. Don't forget we are talking about the functions of RBI. RBI functions to ni aduna RBI functions is basically we are talking about this how qualitative qualitative decision money supply se control to godoino credit se control to godoino haibaduni. Actually this is called monetary policy haidana graduation ge level da noina monetary policy haidana lai ekoi edu yamna high yamna wangna di tawroi just we will do the fundamentals only like monetary policy committee haidana lai da especially ekoi keno but we are not going to do that mat tawroi. So qualitative as I told you, we are referring to a set of tools used by the RBI to control the money supply. Money supply to control the tools set to need to qualitative se apply to the physical availability of money change to change to we say are you paisa to karam direction to karam change to no happy hana agriculture di yamna sijunaramado secondary the khare hena sijunaba adu maina tawdu huni khoi qualitative haise. Qualitative credit control tools ki makha da kai lege habado economic khara khara ki yemo but our focus will be in quantitative to oina lakani qualitative to di yamna keno tawroi dukhe ahan ba qualitative ki tools ahan se the first one is known as moral suasan haidana lay moral suasan. Actually moral suasan haibasa actually this is a shortened version samsan lakam haibani actually it means persuasion aina haibani persuasion haibani persuade to ba haibu takshan ba manipuri da hairagadi ko takshan ba pressurize to ba motrover ko pressurize to ba ikoina persuasion kawi. Like for example, I will pressurize you to buy her this. Now, question and answer se buy her to and have go. That's an example of persuasion. Persuasion has a bit of term ni can have the. But anyway, look here. Moral persuasion is the first one, which comes under the qualitative credit control. Credit control tools. Me am sigi manunda moral suasan na ahan bani. Then what do you mean by moral suasan? Moral suasan has a karino. As usual, I will explain this in already explain to get no ina if you want. Now RBI gi India the bank sing head sing RBI ga meeting adum tawi yam toina meeting adum tawi round table conference ki type adum tawi either physically or virtually or not ragasu kind of meeting came to Todragasu RBI na their policy to implement Tonganaba Haidana every now and then Moina order token. For example, Moina Sumaina High. This year, I'm just taking an example, okay. Handaki Chahije Yamna Corona Namaram Warakan the retail sector Yamna Ware. This retail sector are suffering. So when the economy opens, the banks under me, let's say that I'm the RBI. The banks under me should try to lend as much as possible to the retailers. Retailers in the yamna pigna karbar tawba business in the focus to godabani haidana madu emphasize tawba yai. That comes under the moral suasan. Moral suasan ki makhada la exis. Admai tawdana moral suasan have said simply this is a pressure given by the central bank to its subsidiary banks. Maki bank makhada na banks into the pressure pigabini. Karam pressure pi doin hamatanda simato interest rate no gido sindagi charges yam low ganu processing fee low idu yaroi do retailer the pi gadabani yama so business the pi yam handaro aina any kind of it can be in different forms but moral swasanda RBI will pressurize the the bankers, means the lenders in India, to do something. Kariguma khara tawna na bigida makta pressurize tawna yai. Madu khoina moral suasan hai khangi. Yani ko adun moral suasan hai gadi persuasion hai gadi persuade hai gadi karino pressure piba. Karigi pressure piba no RBI na sitaw bunu hai gana pressure piga do. Sorry, two me. Second point is known as credit rationing hai gana. Credit rationing hai gana amalai. So as you know, the name itself, rationing hai bu wahi. Rationing hai bu jatrati yen bahai bani. Tawadabu yen gadar ga khuyen jitam hai yen dinu hai matamda lai libe available money do. Loi namak mi khuding maki apa amado thungna na big damakti yen ba. That is the meaning of rationing. Don't forget, rationing is to slightly, a little bit slightly, rationing hai ba distribution hai ba kitang difference kitang lay. Distribution hai ba taragati no matter your needs. Nangi darkar taba your needs, I don't care. I will just keep on distributing. Let's say that I have 60 rupees in my hand. If I distribute rupees 10 to all of you, that is known as distribution hai rakhne. So I have 60 rupees, and I'm just taking an example here, and I want to leave 60 rupees here. To somebody, I give you 20 rupees. To someone, I give you 5 rupees only. Another one, 30 rupees. Adumai tawna darkar lay khudingmak mi khudingmaki needs to madu fulfill tawna na ba hai dana tawdu we kena rationing hai rakhni. Aduna credit rationing hai chi karino hai matanda available money do. Aikoi ki banking system da lay ba available money do. Madu aikoi na yai ba makai mi khudingmaki apamba thungna na ba hai dana distribute tawba. It has different meaning. Credit rationing in meaning chi yam tongali. So one is that sector wise oina. For example, primary, secondary, tertiary hai na lele. Primary, secondary, tertiary the India ki lay ba paisa se. According to RBI na smile hai BI. The example that I gave you yesterday, narang ina pi example do madumangni. Primary, secondary, tertiary the RBI na hai. Primary sector da you should give 30% of the all credit available. Secondary sector da 20% of the credit available. I'm just taking here example here. Tertiary sector you have to give 50% of the all available money. If RBI says like this, that is an example of credit rationing. Credit rationing hierarchy. Aduna available money do in a specific certain way the RBI decision now smiley yentho hidden instruction people do madu boy credit rationing function hierarchy. Don't forget, it may be in the national level the OBI, like for example, primary, secondary, tertiary, national level the yamna chong OBI, not ragana. It can be at small, yamna pick the small level the OBI. For example, particular Manipur the Harrisne, Manipur ki handloom and handicraft, Manipur ki piron sabi, Manipur fish sabi am like either hills in the valley does we hills, so we have lots of this. Handicraft, handloom and handicraft, handloom. So let's say that RBI says that in Manipur, as much as possible, the banks should try to give loan to the handloom and handicraft. Handloom and handicraft people sing the emphasis. That's an example of credit rationing. Okay, either it may be at the national level or it may be at the very small level, micro level. For example, I will give you some examples here. Like, for example, this one is called direct action. Direct action. I'm just giving you because relevant way. Direct action is for example, particular bank schedule non-scheduled RBI for scheduled banks, a particular scheduled banks is not following the rules and regulations. RBI and people rules and regulations in law. To follow the grey hand colors. Madhumatam, the RBI will think that, see, actually it doesn't happen in real life. It happens only when it is extremely needed. If a particular bank does not follow the instruction of the RBI, RBI ki instruction do kariguma follow adum torokraba adu ibataragadi the RBI will can take over the functioning of the bank to ki functioning do man overall oina function do pulap oina patient gi yai madu gure koina direct action in high share madu direct action chidi yam kana to de not so much effective at the same time yam to de this is just ultimate Only when we have no other option. Only when RBI do not have any other option. Fourth one is known as fourth one will be a little bit matam kitang logani. Hold on a moment. Asomda explain karke. This one is known as margin requirement. Margin requirement. Go. So what do you mean by margin requirement? Masigi margin requirements are the explanation of margin requirements because the same idea will be used in the quantitative. Quantitative in the repo rate, reverse repo rate, all those, and the open market operation. What do you mean by margin requirement? Paisa puba matamda. Okay, paisa puba matamda. Either let's say that nang nasa hairo you I know you don't borrow money from the bank. Just let's take example. You borrow money from the bank. Similarly, bank also borrow money from the central bank. Central bank is paisa pui. Here is me. This is the common person. I used to borrow money from the SBI. SBI digi I paisa puri ni. SBI jum kamai tawi quantity jum thati go. SBI jum kamai tawi. This SBI used to borrow money from the RBI again. RBI digi paisa pui. So paisa pu matam sidista when a customer like me, I gumba customer amana paisa pu matam da. I need to submit some security. Security kara submit over the card. Okay. This security in maybe in different form it differs. For example, ekoi duina common people have it. Common people ekoi na SBI the salaga paisa kita pujage have matamda most likely they will demand nugi inkol ki land record poro natragna car poro yum ki poro etc lots of documentation mo in hierarchy PI physical asset ki proof hierarchy PI. Aduna karigumba ekhoina SBI da puge hairagasu security darkar tai which is called collateral in common language it is called collateral haina bani. Similarly SBI na RBI digi paisa puba matam da su isam chamna chatlaka ai paisa ki puge haira free da phangada natte. No, it doesn't happen like that. SBI na RBI da approves to matam da su RBI na hire. Nang paisa puge haira pujo ke su kai de yes you can borrow money whatever amount you want. Okay, actually whatever yade. But if you want to borrow money from me, I want to give paisa puge haira taragadi you have to give me some security. Security khara pi ga bani aina hire. Okay. Masigi security ja aikoi gisdadi kitang applicable oidre. Tawadabu SBI na RBI digi paisa puba. SBI said these are the scheduled commercial banks. Okay, they are known as scheduled commercial banks. Scheduled commercial banks na RBI digi paisa puba matamda sijanariba security sa masigo aikoi na government security haraga khame. Okay, government security. Actually, government security se karino haiba taragadi. You know, as I told you, I'm explaining this government security. The same idea will be used in quantitative. Quantitative tani here. Siddhana tani aduna ready tani. Government generally government security is used. Government security has a karino haiba taragadi. Let's say that I'm just taking an example here. Let's say that I'm the government. Okay, I'm the government. You know. I government oijaba taragasu sahi khuding ai deficit adum tai ni budget su tawde koi budget deficit ta hai this is very much normal for every economy khudima ki normal ni for Russia, for China, for Japan, for USA, for all other countries deficit is very normal. Now imagine that I being the government I have deficit se finance tawna bi kidamakta I know that the paisa later. Lupa chama laido. I di chama ga 30. I have 100 rupees only. I need to spend 130 rupees. Means I need to spend extra 30 rupees which I don't have. I know the later. Lupa kuntra ga param haina finance to no sin. Answer is that if you want to finance this, you have to borrow it. Government aina. Let's say that government aina. This is the government, and I will issue a security which is called government security. Government aina issue to. There are different types of government securities are there. Ad hoc government security, regular regular treasury bill, ad hoc regular treasury bill. Lots of things are there which is not ours. I will simplify. These government securities are. This will be. Let's say that I'm borrowing money from Berlin. Berlin lagi ay paisa pura hai khalasi. I will write this a kind of agreement. Under this agreement, I say that I'm just taking an example here. Okay. under this agreement, I agree. I means government. I agree that I borrow rupees 100 from Brennan. Brennan de gay lupa chama paisa pure. High lupa paisa se. After the end of the year, I will pay it back with interest, etc., etc. Lots of things. Simply government security. This is it's an agreement published by the government, issued by the government to borrow money. Paisa puba yana na bagi tamakta issue tauba akoi agreement makhala mane. High agreement it is with the public. 2016 dagi hawrakan the government security it can be purchased by common people like us. Actually, let me tell you something of the syllabus. Paisa se invest tauba matamda sukmang mang daba amalay market ko. Aikoi financial market, in the financial market there is one area where you never get lost. Paisa sumang mang daba amalay. Kariyo biye. Sobya kariyo biye. Paisa se, I don't just imagine, just I don't know, come as well. Paisa se, koi high ba business se tong matamda, paisa se suk mang to. Kari yo sobe. Kari yo biye. Kay do ba ba? Take the tamba. Why mang de hai bati ai. I know the business to have the bank to Peshava the business to Dinate. Motrover can you guess what it may be? There is one, business in the financial system which never get lost. Pesha among them. Hurry up. Motrover. Hung there. I had you go Tonga guess on bra. Madudi quite mango pony. We want the Pesha Sando quite mango pony, and did not take. Hurry, I had it. Oh, who did this upon give us government security, financial market, I need no Atopa, Nokia, Kanoki, Dukan Pamba, I'm not talking about that. Financial market, the Peshasuma Mount the Bar, Hybataragadine, this government security. Manipur the Sutopani, no commerce ki Satras, Yobani the net, no haying graduation by Matamda, Peshap Lairagadi, you do this. Okay, Susu Swedanato. Paisa the aina financial market the paisa thadaraga sukmang mang daba no matter what happens war la kera calamity thokera up and down depression lagera no matter what happens sumang mang daba haiba taragadi you buy this government security is laisalaba adu ba taragadi sumang mang di maram di kai no haimatam okay government kai di khangde government kai ba haibadi congress na paramaga bjp no congress I'm not talking about that. India as a country when a kaiba taraba, adu matamda khatang you will get lost, but I don't think so. Madudi oiroi kesu pagna. Aduna government security is an area where you never get lost. Don't forget this. Okay. Aduna government security haibasa. This is used as a collateral by the SBI, by the common people. Common people ekoi the lairagadi ekoi usiji na payai. But common people the government security se pagna laite. Maram di kayina matamda. Common people are being allowed only from 2016 in India. So let's take the example here in this SBI. So when this SBI borrow money, they will use government security as a collateral. Collateral which is in the minute. Let me simplify. Let me come to the point. Common people we say So when government security of rupees 100 is given by SBI, collateral oina government security lupa cham gi pisan matamda SBI will not get rupees 100. Let me repeat one more time. Paisa punanaba in order to borrow money SBI have to submit government security. Government security just submit to the yadi. Let's assume that government security of rupees 100 is submitted by SBI, but in return SBI will not get rupees 100. Rupees 100 is phangway. In fact, they will get, I'm just taking an example here, 96 rupees. Lupa 96 ki sang damo phangane. Aduna, high riba anisi ki difference hai. Difference between the actual value of the government security and what he get. What SBI get, anisi ki difference ko ekoi na margin requirement hai khane. Kamiko, what do I say? Government security ka Pishan give government security ga phangai ba paisa duga ani si ki difference masi boi koina margin requirement hai khne. Karigumba RBI na pamba taragadi margin requirements hai ani je hengat pasu hai. Like for example, the difference between this money and face value ga mana phangadori paisa du ki difference lupa mari oidabani, but it should be 8 rupees oidabani haiba taragadi SBI will get only 92 rupees only. Aduna by increasing and decreasing this margin requirement say increase decrease to matamda effectively RBI is controlling the credit in the economy, money supply in the economy. Puspa khamoi ko gyan dal ko aina hasa aduna hadamukti ko line amatang isalo what do you mean by margin requirement atai sing chide bhar value tum tor ge yai margin requirement sin tam isalo hurry up right like this. Okay, it is the difference between face value of a security, face value of a security, SECURITY do ko, face value of a security, face value of a security use and amount of money granted against it, amount of money granted against it, amount of money granted against it. Ani dugi difference bu margin requirement ko hengkat pa hangta dugi matungina keno to biya. Okay, correct. Actually, no this one is there, this one is there, this one is there. In your book, only 3. But I'm giving you lots of extras. Fifth one is the mga suba qualitative monetary policy tools, qualitative credit control tools. Ki mga suba punja. Karino hai matamda. This is known as priority sector lending. Hai dana kawi Igang isalo priority sector lending haidana kawe haipetang haide actually syllabus yaudaba poni no extra on haide gi wani, it's not compulsory. As I told you 1 to 4 paro is more than enough. Priority sector lending as name suggests karigumba particular sector ama natragana it may be subsector OBI. If RBI won, a particular sector can be emphasized. Like for example, the example that I gave you, Manipur da I koi handa kise agriculture, actually agriculture yam phibam yam phai Manipur da. I'm taking an example. Manipur da, let's assume that RBI feel that agriculture in Manipur is suffering a lot. Yam no ware agriculture in Manipur da. Haina khallaba adu bata argadi. Under this priority sector lending, RBI can announce that this Manipur gi oina I don't know for masi priority sector ni haina moin announce to bi madumaina announce to ki significance kaino haina tanda certain amount of money should be given as loan by the banks compulsorily. Let's say that all of you are bankers. Noi taruk che bank ni haine khalasi and I'm the RBI. RBI aina haide yumo noi se Manipur da leba bank atane. Manipur da leba agriculture sector se agriculture sector in Manipur is so in distress condition. Aduna I hereby announce that the agriculture in Manipur is priority sector. Haina now thokumatanga significance is that when I announce agriculture as a priority one, you guys have to spend a certain amount of money in that sector. That is known as priority sector lending. But as you know, this is not in your syllabus. Aduna simple khunjalo. That's it. This is part of the qualitative ni sida khangayai. Yareko, qualitative yareko. Is there any need of hurry up? Present? Motrover? Anyone? Thongamba? Thongamba? Yanta bro? Ino phone number people thongamba keno tarabra? Paisa narabra? So now, having talked about this qualitative na, we will be talking next. We will be talking about this quantitative. As I told you, high quantitative city again with respect to qualitative. Qualitative ko quantitative ka ani se comparison to matamda quantitative city yamna important way. This is more effective henasu way. Aduna don't forget this is again the heart and soul. Hai amuku so hai tare. quantitative credit control tool sing kari kari no yeng si machine lawyer matungda we will be talking about some idea called credit creation. Karam haina paisa se manipuri da haire ko how money is created in the financial system do masi quantitative la tadani lots of things are there that we can discuss in this quantitative. Let's see some of them loina mak namdraga su khari yengsi here it goes maiko hangge amta kenu to ngasida anjali ngarang khoi ki quantitative ki meaning haiba tare madu karam haina pi gimram tani sumo tell me something about this quantitative tools hurry up fast Anjali Anjali tum hogutri bro haro sasa haro quantitative se kai quantitative hire this is it's a kind of a monetary policy money control tawna bigi tool ni RBI ni sizinaba haiba tool je sizinaraga aikoi gi physical availability of money se change to honba ai nakan the opposite ni haina hai du physical availability of money will be changed using this quantitative high money. Anyway, here it goes. Listen very carefully. Again and again, I'm telling you, I'm emphasizing this because this is very important. Exam so idana question hangada area ni so idana hangani I can guarantee you this. Here it goes. The first credit control tool under the quantitative is known as legal reserve ratio. Legal reserve ratio LRR haiga khne kare to bito legal reserve ratio LRR haiga khne. Okay, so now under this legal reserve ratio LRR ni makha sida amo we have subtypes among like 1A is known as case reserve ratio haiba ama case reserve ratio haibani in short CRR haiba ama 1B is known as statutory sorry what am also to make my statutory liquidity and liquidity ratio SLR. So we have two types under the legal reserve ratio, that is case reserve ratio and statutory liquidity ratio SLR. Masi han explain to get Munimu, I am going to ask lots of questions, get ready for that. Munadiemo, Yematam the line and Hungary. Matang is the whole bring I say the motor now Tahiro. Narang, I think yesterday I forgot. What do you mean by money supply? Tell me the meaning of money supply. Pass. Yam to Tahiro. Or don't forget that, okay, don't forget that. Here it goes. Here is the explanation. As I told you, the definition of money supply is very, very simple, but that is very significant. Here it goes. When a person have some amount of money, that is money supply high. So look here. When you have extra money, what you will do? Okay, generally, if you have excess money with you, somebody have excess money with them, generally, I'm saying generally, they used to go to the SBI, open an account and set money there. Generally, we set our money in a bank account. Hujikan is offered Mama the shampoo the Tadar big one. As I told you, piggy bank the Tadar there is one of the worst way of using money. So you set money. Set our helpless. Let's imagine that in the entire branch of that SBI to the branch the customer this customer A. Only customer A is there. High level customers now when rupees 100 is deposited to the SBI account. SBI account to karigumba hek deposit to matamda SBI have to use it as soon as possible. SBI da let's say that Tuesday numita yore. Tuesday numita this account is being transferred by Mr. A to the bank account in SBI on Tuesday 8 a.m. da. Actually 8 a.m. da bank thong hangde, but let's say that 8 a.m. da SBI di yore had a what I'm saying is that as soon as the bank receives this rupees 100, lupa cham se hek yoropaga. As soon as possible, SBI have to use this rupees 100. Why? Sophia karigino ay as soon as possible mo na yari gay thuna sisina kata ni hari sa karigino. Hariyo pass. Sophia. Sophia namundi ngasi ko ta ri answer se khangdi katani ko yaroi ko dumaina gs or ka haira ko ai la la su ke kai de kana de thongam bag da haro karigino koi being singina why they need to spend this money as soon as possible. Spend idea de use ai mo ko ri no to se adu ai answer dum haira ke ko no hang khangdi ka ta hai nang na sa je bank ne haina khallo I'm a customer say koigi noi the account hang ba customer ne haina khallo noi account to da noi branch aina la kan da ai lupa cham ai account happy you haina thok tham ba matam da nang na bank nang na yari ba makai thu na madu sijin na ko hona gani karigino hai ba tar gadi there is a reason karigino hai ba tar gadi nangonda aina head bank te da lupa ni lupa 100 to rupees 100 to when I deposited at 8 a.m. the clock has already started ticking. What is this clock about? This clock has already started ticking from 8 a.m. itself to count the interest rate that SBI have to pay to Mr. A. Interest rate ama pay tong na kita magta clock to count to home rabe. Hoy paisa budi yama budi nate, it's not a huge amount of money. Paisa to interest to yama budi nate, but even though small it may be, SBI have to pay interest to Mr. A for depositing rupees 100 to the account of SBI. Aduna takodi if karigumba SBI sina ngasi Tuesday da deposit torapudo Wednesday da season natraba taraga su no maduki interest rate Mr. A da p da yate. Similarly SBI na mas as I season abong khang da haina lupa cham mo account to go se tha mo ko thame khalasine tha mo thamaga season natraba taraga su they need to pay interest to Mr. A. That is why SBI they have to make use this rupees 100 as soon as possible. Homework khangabra yadadra gyandaladra Sophia did you get it? Hurry up, tell me. Sophia khangadra. Sophia I class ko I go no chai cha bang ne I phukan ra di phare just I'm kidding you. Okay aduna SBI na di interest rate pi ga biya di season agera season aroira karigumba season arabudi phare if SBI get use this money as loan to Mr. B kana ko Mr. B ko amada karigumba loan pi thok da season aba taraga di that is very good yamna phare kaigina matamda mangondigi earn to rupe interest to SBI na kharamu lohorani interest to kharamu lohorani lemo ba kharamu e da dirani so it's very good tawadabu. If SBI do not use this money, then they are in loss. They are not using this rupees 100, but they have to use, they have to pay interest to Mr. A. That is why I was saying SBI have to use that rupees 100 as soon as possible. Mothrover, did you get it? Did you get it? Now here comes another interesting question. My topics are all interrelated. When I was doing this M1, if you remember M1 nichingo, M1 ki formula amta hairo keno Brennan. Hurry up, Brennan. M1 ki formula amta. Hey, adu di F0 ni. M1 tu di hen bakre yawi. Hello. Okay. Yes, other deposit with RK. Demand deposit to madugani idea lakko. Now I have another question. Here it goes the question. I know the high with the Lupacham deposit on Matanda, SBI, Yari Makai Tuna, Sijin, and Hybrid. Here comes another question. Do you think that SBI can use all these deposited rupees 100 to give loan to Mr. B? Lupacham Pambado, Lupacham RBI na Mr. B the loan, Pito Pada Sijinaba Yagadra. Can all rupees 100 be used to give loan to Mr. B? Moreover, yes or no? No. Why it is not no? Thong Bairo, Yare, Moreover Yare, Thong Bairo, why it is not no? No, it is a carino. I had to say SBI, Nangi SBI never go. I don't know the Lupacham Nangi account, sorry, Nangi Bransky account the Lupacham, I had comes the Lumatanda. Lupacham Simak Nang loan Pitopi Yagadra, Kanagumba loan, Logia have me of the Lupacham, Pashan, Loidam loan Pitopi Yagadra in Tomba. Yaroi, Madumadi, Motoran High, Yaro, you see, Carigino, I don't know the Hansina, Nangi Gutanjina. Carigino. Ah, yes. Masaya na adu hangna na bani brainin da ina thawina formula hangido. Deposits se makhala ni shoi. If you remember this, there are two types of deposits are there. One is known as demand deposit, another one is known as time deposit. Okay, time deposit to madi we have a little bit problem explaining those things. Now let's say that Mr. A deposit rupees 100 opening a account in SBI. High riba account to demand deposit ne hai khalasne. Generally almost all the people ayam loinama kenu ngatani demand deposit ngatani. Yes, I suppose all of you have bank accounts. Some of you. No ye parents ki account to paisa hapu so na sato matam na account deposit form to the sumani iram gane. DD hydro wahayam iram gane. DD form no na paisa. Ay paisa kita hapsa ge na sat matam da DD form hayam gane. Demand deposit hayam batu. Ayam bana. Okay, most of the deposits, most of the accounts that we used to have by the common people are generally demand deposit not away. In case Mr. A is opening a demand deposit in SBI and putting that rupees 100 in the demand deposit account of the Mr. A, then something will happen. What is that something? On Tuesday, Mr. A deposited rupees 100. Lupa chama do. Leibak po numita, Tuesday numita, mana lupa cham account to Thompson Gray. Hold on a moment, Mr. A giwari ngakta ng tangay ko. Tawag mo SBI ni kamay tawi. Masay ay SBI hay himatanda. SBI di paisa to hek lang pag mo yung season na tabi yabdi. Season na to ni. Hek Thompson matanda mo paisa maga to na as soon as possible they have to make use. Let's imagine that on Tuesday itself, Lupacham all rupees 100 has been given away to Mr. B as a loan. Loan na pito kiba taragadi. Kalito kadagi hai si yeng sebo. On Wednesday, mathangi lumita. On next day Wednesday, Mr. A approves the bank and says that I want to withdraw my money. Ay di paisa to withdraw tong jarage hai. Madi Mr. A will definitely want to withdraw this money because this is demand deposit. Demand deposit are those deposits which can be withdrawn by the depositor whenever he wants. Remember that. Adu batagadi bank dadi moina kuina thamba yadabni na paisa to pithokre. Asom dadi nongala ka na Mr. A ay paisa kita pujage paisa kita withdraw tawjage hai na lae. Matang sida bank tu na nang paisa to laitre hai ba yagadra. No, it's not possible. No, that is not possible. Bank cannot say that they don't have money simply because this is not the money of the bank. Bank to na sisinabagi wani bank ki paisa natte. That is the money of the customer itself. Customer ki paisa ni na customer have the right to withdraw that money. That is why bank cannot say that they don't have money. Now we are in a dilemma. Bank so kuina thambe adamni na pithokiba. Pitho urakan dadi loina pitho uragadi asomda Mr. A duna withdraw tawjage ha matamda matha mu saba bank to the matha saba. Aduna this kind lots of functions are there for this function mayamam laigare, but for me I'm just concentrating our explanation in an example only. Aduna to make this kind of certain withdrawal sinja kanu tawna ba haidana our RBI, I'm coming to this 2 point, here it goes. Our RBI says that Mr. A na karigumba, if Mr. A deposit rupees 100 to your account, you SBI have to deduct certain percentage of that deposited money. Paisa thamaiba deposited money ro madudagi nang khara katharaga nangonda thamhogadabani aduga lemhoriba do now you can lend. Let's say that say 95 rupees can be lent away to Mr. B, but you have to deduct some amount of money. Wait, 95 high just certain amount of money. This money, which is to be deducted from the deposited money by the scheduled commercial banks, this is known as statutory liquidity ratio SLR. Wari loitri ta go masi wari se loi matam da SLR CRR noi loi ga ni amtang hapsa lakhi ge hujik sigi important oiba ama le this is important oiba ama le. So we have one important to be deducted khaido kada ba kathau kada ba ama le this ama. But this is not the end of the story still. Why is loitri kari no hai matam da our RBI, which is at the helm of our banking, which is at the top of our banking, says that for every deposited money, paisa deposit toropa khudingi, you SBI have to give me a certain fraction of that money also. Deposit toriba paisa do madugi fraction of money so aingonda pirakadabani haidana mandatory oina higher. Haiba deduct togodaba paisa siguna, this to be deducted money is known as case reserve ratio CRR hierarchy. So the bank masada deduct togadabasna, this is known as SLR hierarchy. Aduna haibadi lupa chama deposit togo matamda lupa chama se aikoi economy da circulate togde. At the very beginning I asked you the meaning of money supply. Money supply definition hangi karigino hai matamda motorword da hang matamda karigino hai matamda I am coming to this point. To money supply is amount of money which is in circulation. Okay, see, out of rupees 100 deposit togumatamda, all this rupees 100 will not be in circulation. Circulation the lay with. Out of this, okay, must be interested. Out of this rupees 100, some amount of money will be deducted as SLR, some amount of money will be deducted as CRR. After these two deduction, I don't know how much it will be, but let's say that 90 rupees will be circulated in the economy. That means, paisa se being the common people the circulate togo matamda being the lady laiba paisa khudimak being the deposit togo paisa khudimak money supply oide. Adunani total amount of money is not equal to money supply had head over the high give. In another word, the amount of money to be amount of money deposited this some fractions are to be deducted by the scheduled commercial by themselves and keep with themselves. Not only that, they have to deduct some amount of money and give it to the RBI. RBI should be given. That is known as the case reserve ratio. After these two deduction, amount of money left will be circulated in the economy. That is what we call money supply. Sophia, kita tuman bra, hango bra. Sophia, karang ngawe, imai pina, lai thola ki. Karang ngawe yauri, Brendan hango bra da bra. Ay, koi di khang da ba ya de, phajana tawbi ni, Brendan hango bra. Hange. Ato pa karang hange to ko yauri motor. Did you get it? No, yes, no. Okay, hange go. Yewo noi pulak tu ina hanlage handa mukti mu kitang mu lai thok hanlage yam detail na tabida me amana when a person deposits money, either it may be a person or be a company or be a natragana it can be anything. Paisa khara we deposit to matamda SBI da any financial system da deposit to matamda rupees 100 deposit to hai khalase hai ba lupa chama se all this rupees 100 cannot be used by SBI to give loan, to invest anything. Moina lupa chama simak direct rupees all this rupees 100 noina sijina ba ya deba ko ya dise kari no ham tanda lupa chama sigi manungda 5% deduct to gadoi ni 5% deduct to raga SBI masada thamjal ho gadoi 5% of 5 behind colors, so rupees 5 will be deducted by SBI out of rupees 100. High lupa manga do SBI masada thamjal horone. Aduna sunatri. RBI khoi bank ki khwaidi makukta laiba RBI na SBI da hai. Nangon da lupa chama deposit tawba khudingi. Whenever you get rupees 100 ki deposit tawba khudingi, nangna ayon da amu 5% ama amu piga da bani in high. Okay. Actually, this is not equal way there. One is 4% way, another one is 13 point something way. But for us, 5% lower. Kita mana 6% lower. Actually, these are not correct numbers. Aduna lupa cham head deposit oina SBI na phangba matamda SBI na lupa cham sima sisinaba ngamde sisinaba yade yade se karigino lupa cham phangbadugi manungda paisa kharadi fraction kharadi katha horkanda SBI masada thamhogadaba thamgodose karigino emergency darkar paisa lakma matam sisinaba su obi ai as a security oina ek oina basu yai. But don't forget all those things. SBI have to deduct amount of some fraction of money out of the total deposited money and kept with themselves masada thamjangado kakharaga sino sanate SBI de rupa chama phangbudu ne moina kakhawdo khakta natana some amount of other fraction of money will be deducted by SBI. For us this is 6%, 11% yam yame, but kakha ani se kathawra matung ne rupa chama dudagi say actually it's 5%, 6% dum lamsam moina parasi 5% means 5 rupees na hana khalasi actually masidi na teko adubu just koi line na ba. Then 6% I have said this is 6 rupees ni, so hybrid total oina 11 rupees will be deducted from the rupees 100 deposited. Lupa chama dudaki lupa taramathoi deduct or matungda only about 89 rupees will be able to use by RBI. Oh sorry, SBI. Schedule commercial bank sichina lupa manga ama moi masada kathar moi masada thamhorani lupa taru ka kathar ga RBI da pithokrani chena gi sarukni haina lemhori ba lupa 89 do okay ai ngonda lemhori ba 89 che kana loan lo pa mi haidana 89 do mi Mr. B da loan lo jero haidana 89 do sijuna gani aduna takadi lupa chama deposit torakpada laiba lupa chama si SBI na lupa chama muk sijuna ba ngamde lupa chama si gi manungda 89 rupees khatang sijuna ba ngami 89 rupees se sijuna ba ngami ba RBI de SBI de gina mi atopa amada circulate tawriba amount of money se 89 se this is what we call money supply hydroshini. This is not rupees 100. Rupees 100 ti money supply kaude maram bi kai no rupees 100 to deposit tawjaba taraga su 100 mark circulation tawde tawdise kari no lupa manga ama SBI na kathar ga masada thamore lupa taru ko ma SBI na kakhat ga RBI ga pithokre lemori ba 89 rupees to khakdang circulate to bani na 89 rupees se money supply ko wi hai Sophia kangabra Benin yarabra atopadi kana motrover didn't get it all of you khang da yaw ke haro amso hange kana ati gi dorge motrover khangabro okay pare adudi hayeng kaubia de aina ngasa hek hobda motrover da money supply definition in bra haido money supply refers to the amount of money in circulation. Don't forget that word, okay? Or amount of money with public haidi no ko ai khoi gi out of rupees 100 bank da lupa chama nei matam da lupa chama se money supply ni ko ba yade kari no ha matam da all this rupees 100 is not in circulation. Only 89 rupees in our example, only 89 rupees is in circulation, so this 89 rupees is known as money supply. Tare ko sikyan tare hai ba bank masana schedule commercial bank masana kakthak daga masada thamhogada ba paisa se masi boi koina statutory liquidity ratio. Statutory means compulsory having, okay, it's a you know exact meaning did not take, but lamsam oina magi mean to matam da compulsory oina kakhat kadaba ratio. Compulsory ratio which is to be deducted, and that compulsory ratio is to be maintained in liquid form of asset. I will explain this liquid form of asset later on, but for the time being SLR habisi karino haiba taragadi SBI masana, it may be SBI, UBI, PNB, whatever any bank. Bank na laiba paisa dudagi matat na makakthalaga masada thamogdaba paisa do madugu SLR kauri. Amuk kitang deep oina lage no si understand taramnina. SBI na kakthalaga moi masada paisa khara kakthla thamogdu si karigino haiba taragadi ngasai aingonda deposit tawgiba miduna ai paisa khara withdraw tawjage haiduna lakma matamda pi na ba adugi su obi ai maram tongan tongan laigre, we cannot go through all those reasons. Yareko aduga amu loidri lupa chama lakpa matamda kainona se Anjali na aingonda rupees 100. Anjali is a customer, I am a bank. Okay, aina mangondagi Anjali submitted me rupees 100 to deposit in his account, in her account. Out of rupees 100 to gi manungda I deduct 10 rupees. Actually 10 is too high. Actually let's say that 10 rupees is deducted and I kept it with myself. This is called SLR. Again, out of that 100 again, another 10 rupees is deducted and I give it to RBI. RBI is pitokre. Let it, it's yours here. I'm pitokre. That means out of 100 deposited by Anjali, I am left with 80 rupees only. This 80 rupees will be made available for anyone who want to take loan. Loan lojage, paisa sisinajage haiba misindo maduda ai pitokpa yarane. Haiba 80 rupees bu khina money supply kowi. Karigino ha matamda because this is the amount of money which is in circulation. Circulation da sali jai isni. Aduna case reserve ratio hairagadi, it is the amount of money deducted by SBI and they have to maintain with the RBI. RBI the pithok dogo. SLR hairagana, it is the amount of money deducted by scheduled commercial bank and maintained with themselves. Masana dum thamdo. What is that? Asembadi ko noi asibaw da kaino to ngawe haise. Asembadi aina total deposit haise asembamakti masin. No, it's not an accurate word. It's a homework for all of you. Actually, total deposit money has a lali. Actually, we cannot use this, but I'm just simplifying. No, I can't remember how to like talk and pick one exact way to mention nothing. Actually, we should use what they call net demand and time liabilities. NDTL hyphen IDM. If you want, you can Google it. NDTL, so you know how to Google to it's up to you. Come the suka there, no syllabus the hour for nothing. Aduna, for us, for our class 12, it's more than enough to use the word out of total deposited money. High matam the kai there. Aduna, NDTL the asing money, NDTL the level to yodri na total deposit money to high get. Aduna, here it goes the meaning of the case reserve ratio. Write it now. Hurry up. Islam. I'm going to dictate. Here it goes. It is the fraction of money. It is the fraction of money. Fraction of money that scheduled commercial bank that it is a fraction of money that scheduled commercial bank it is a fraction of money that scheduled commercial bank SCB scheduled commercial bank have to maintain with RBI with central bank with RBI out of total deposited money. Let me repeat one more time. It is a fraction of money that every scheduled commercial bank have to maintain with RBI out of total deposited money. Masisdani aina total deposited money have wahisha. No class 12 or the same total deposited money high there. Actually, this is known as the net demand and time liabilities NDTL had a lay Madu the higher Roshi. Maduma sentence number 1 euro, sentence number 2 the smile euro. Another sentence for this CRR we can on the call. Here it goes. CRR is to be maintained in pure form of gas. Pure form of gas only. CRR is to be maintained in pure form of gas only. Have you paisa the khatam currency the khatam maintain to the atopati yati. Iro adu kai hierarchy ko. CRR is to be maintained in pure form of cash only. Haibadi cash reserve ratio se SLR se RBI SBI ka thalaga RBI da sinaba matamda currency da khatam tawdabni atopadi yade hai. You might be wondering atopada su yabra yai. In case of SLR ki case study, not necessary that you have to maintain in cash only. Cash the khatam maintain only have like that. You can maintain in any form of liquid asset. I will talk about it later for haircut. Point after that, we will go to the SLR. Write it fast. Here it goes. Arba, how again, Arba? Puspa Yariko? Puspa Nepal, yeah, the school couldn't go. Okay, Tabra to the other dimension of Robitius go. One white to the okay. So, next SLR ki meaning it is the fraction of total deposited money. It is a fraction of total deposited money. Fraction of total deposited money to be maintained by scheduled commercial bank SCB, scheduled commercial banks themselves. It is a fraction of total deposited money to be maintained by scheduled commercial banks themselves out of total deposited money. It is a fraction of total deposited money to be maintained by maintained by scheduled commercial banks themselves out of total deposited money. As usual, total deposited money is same but correct. Sentence number 1, sentence number 2. SLR can be maintained in any form of liquid asset. Liquid asset maintain the. Let me repeat. SLR can be maintained in any form of liquid asset. Liquid asset to maintain the VI paisa thamdraga su yai. Dorba liquidity ki meaning I am high to me. I'm telling you what do you mean by liquidity? Hurry up, fast. Liquidity kind. Thongba. To me little green. Liquidity habitat, it refers to ability of an asset to convert into another form of asset effectively. Don't forget that, okay? Aduna, haibadi isamsamna SLR se liquid asset maintain to it can be maintained in the form of gold. It can be maintained in the form of government security, gold or SBI. It can be in any form of liquid asset. Say land or okay, land is not allowed. Actually, in any form of liquid asset to SLR se 5% or 6% it's not necessary to keep in money. It can be kept in any form of liquid asset. Liquid asset tomorrow I'm giving you homework actually because you guys have already completed this in your classes school so complete school complete I'm giving you a homework. Actually it's very simple. The question is that how SLR and CRR, or you can say LRR, cash reserve ratio SLR, how RBI can control money supply, how RBI can control credit in the economy. Credit se economy ki credit se RBI na SLR CRR karam haina control to write that question. You have to give me the answer by today evening. Nasigi evening baugi pung manga baugi manung the high ira very simple. Yanu simple question ni. It's the first time I'm giving you homework, so it's compulsory for all of you. Anyway, let's stop here for today. Any doubt later group to issue natragna personally or dum hiro. I will try to explain it. Anyway, let's stop here for today. Bye all of you. Share